Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, a checklist to ensure your presentations are a success. And this checklist is my own checklist, the things I go through as I'm preparing for every presentation and some of what happens after the presentation. There's three components or three experiences that your audience has when you present. There's that before presentation, there's that during presentation experience, and then there's that post after presentation experience. This checklist is mostly before, and we'll just make sure you've got all bases covered, which will in turn help you be more confident and more effective in your presentation. How to participate, ask questions as we go, feel free to take notes and apply to your own circumstances. What will you do differently for your next presentation? What will you do differently to prepare? I make the webinar recording available to all participants, so if you can't take notes, rest assured you will have the recording available. Couple of quotes. Spectacular performance is always preceded by spectacular preparation. So Robert Schuller made this comment, and some of those people that always seem to do a good job, always connect with their audience, always give relevant material, don't assume they're natural speakers. It could be that they've done remarkable preparation. And of course, Sean Covey, we become what we repeatedly do. So if you get into the habit of using this checklist, the components that work for you, then you'll regularly get better performance and better outcomes from a presentation perspective. So there's 10 steps, and I'm going to go through these one by one. I have to move fairly quickly because there's quite a bit of material. So the first one, have you got your nerves under control? What are the quick relaxations that you do, the deep breathing, the visualization that you bring to yourself when you're about to step on stage? I just did a presentation to 250 people in Singapore. I was quite nervous, but I was able to do my deep breathing, really focus, and went on stage with remarkably little nerves. Are you prepared for anything? This is your contingencies. What happens if the speaker goes into your time? Can you do it in less time? What happens if audio visual doesn't work? Are you still able to proceed? Have that mindset of, I'm here to serve people, I'm here to share my message, and I'm here to give the best I can around my topic to the people in the room. That's that positive mindset. And finally, the understanding of nerves. Are you aware that the nerves will carry you through your performance and put you in your peak performance mode? This understanding and this relationship with you and your nerves as you speak, not about getting rid of them, but having them under control and understanding they're there to help you, is really important. So step one, you've got a presentation coming up. As it gets closer, as it's 5 minutes and you're being introduced, do you have your nerves under control? Step two, and one of those quotes was about what we repeatedly do is what we become. So have you done the right level of preparation? This is knowing your audience. Who is in the room? What is their pain point? What's their issue? How does your message solve their problem? What do they want from you? What's their aspirations? What's their goals? Know your venue. Arrive early. Walk around the platform. Take ownership of that space. There's nothing worse than walking into a venue for the first time and standing up and starting to present. Do you need a microphone? Will your voice carry? What sort of microphone are they going to provide? Is there a step up onto the platform? Where's the data projector located? How can you present without throwing shadow puppets by getting in front of the data projector? Where are the emergency exits? Know your content. Make sure you've got that topic really well understood so that if stuff happens, you can still proceed. And what we say is know your content so well that you can plug and play. So that means if your time is reduced, that's okay. You can deliver your content in 20 minutes instead of 30. If your time is increased, speaker before you doesn't turn up and they want you to stretch, that's okay. You can still do that. If the power goes off and you can't use your data projector, you can't use your PowerPoint, the show goes on. This is called plug and play. What it means is regardless of what happens, you can still deliver the content, deliver your message, have the same impact. So this is around doing your level of preparation. It's about knowing your audience. It's about knowing your venue. It's about knowing your topic, knowing your content so well that you can plug and play. Welcome, those that have just joined us. So 10 steps for your checklist. First one we've just covered, make sure your nerves are under control. Step number 2, do your right level of preparation around knowing your audience, knowing your venue, and knowing your content. Step 3, have you got your speech set out in a simple structure? And I use a mind map, but part of that mind map would be these key important steps. So the important steps are your opening. First 30 seconds matters. What's that 30 second that grabs attention? The beginning. It's called the rule of primacy. First words matter. Then your conclusion. What are those take-home comments, that summation, that call to action? This is your closing remarks, your conclusion. It's also called the rule of recency. Last 30 seconds matters, so make sure you end strong. What points, how many points are you going to have that lead us across your core message? 3's good, no more than 4 points. And this is your core message that runs all the way through. Have you got clarity of purpose, a purpose-focused, a purpose-driven presentation? The reverse of that is what we call scattergun, spray and pray, where you just give lots of stuff, lots of information, hoping that something sticks. Don't do spray and pray. Do laser focus messages so that everyone gets on the same page. Use stories. And I've just lost presentation mode. I do apologize. And what stories are you going to tell? Stories are the ones that are really going to help people remember what you've said. So why is your core message relevant to the audience? How does it impact them? And have the right stories to support your core message. So start strong, end strong, 3 points. Have a clear core message. Make sure you know the relevance of that message to the people in the room. If it's not relevant to them, you're probably giving them the wrong message. Step 4, Make the message memorable. So you've got a strong message and it's relevant to them, but how do you make sure people walk away with it? And we call these hooks. So put some hooks in your message. So we call them hooks. So first hooks. What's in it for me? What problem are you solving? How are you going to help me get to where I want to get to? If you answer the what's in it for me from the audience's perspective, they're going to remember your message. They're going to love you. What's your one big message? That one that we walk away without a shadow of a doubt. Nike shoes, Nike Sports has one big message, and that is just do it. After you've spoken for 30 minutes, for 60 minutes, what's your one big message that people will remember? What's your call to action? Ask them to do something. Use an element of surprise, a statistic, a story they won't believe, something with a twist. Make your data memorable. Don't just give numbers and statistics, but make it more concrete. What are you doing to build credibility? It's not just one thing. It could be 2 or 3 things. So you're asking me to believe you, to adopt your way of thinking. Why should I believe you? What's in your credibility stack? Where do you get the data from? Maybe you borrow some credibility from the Canadians. The Canadian aged care or the Canadian health system is doing something different. And then what stories, what examples, what case studies will illustrate your core message? Story is really powerful, and this is how we put our hooks into our speeches. Don't try and put all of those hooks in every presentation. It's more about what hook will make your message memorable. Step 5, have you got the right attitude? So when you're doing some training or when you're speaking to a group of high school kids, a group of people who don't want to be there, it would be easy to come across with an attitude of, this doesn't matter, attitude of being blasé, uncaring. For every audience, you must conjure up the right attitude. And that attitude is one of passion. You know, when you go out on your first date, the extra mile, the new clothes, the new outfit, the 1%ers, an attitude that shows that you care about that audience, an attitude that you take this opportunity to speak to this group of people with great responsibility. I think when you speak to an audience, even as a trainer, even if it's your job, you have a level of responsibility. So make sure your attitude shows that you're passionate, that you're not taking this presentation lightly. What are you going to let the audience know? How are you going to let your audience know that they're special, that they matter to you? You've got to find that right attitude, even if it's a mundane health and safety presentation that maybe you do every Monday. If you come across as flat or as uninterested as blasé, the audience will get that and they won't buy your message. You've got to conjure up that attitude. Step 6, what's your body language saying about you? Your eye contact, your non-verbals. Just going to pause for a moment. At this stage, are there any questions? So I've got a question. I'll just go back a slide. How do you come up with an attitude of passion when everyone in the room doesn't want to be there? And I see that sometimes with health and safety or induction meetings, or sometimes when you speak at high school kids, you might be the Red Cross blood transfusion or the bone marrow, and you're asked to speak, and the kids are captured. They're in the room, not because of interest, because this is a compulsory presentation. And you can clearly see that the audience is not interested in this topic, or they've done it before. So inwardly, you still have to come up with that internal trigger that brings passion to you, and it will come to a story that you associate with your topic. And if I go to something like bone marrow, and maybe it's one person's life that was saved, they got a bone marrow transplant, someone didn't think they'd ever be a match. They, as a result of you speaking, they put their name onto the bone marrow registry and saved someone's life. You've got to tap into that passion within you, and hopefully you can bring that passion out in an audience that's not interested. So with your topic, even if it is mundane, you have to tap into that inner passion, that inner feeling, that inner realization that this is important within yourself, and let that come out through your pause, through your voice, through your body language. Thanks for the question. So your body language, what's your body saying about you? Ask someone to give you the feedback. Check in the mirror. The bouncy hands that bounce up and down in time with what you're saying. The lots of gymnastics and the stretching and the twiddling of the fingers. Palms up when you want to be approachable. Palms down when you want to be credible. Your resting hands. Don't do fig leaves. Don't do aggressive stances with your resting hands. Do that nice neutral resting position by your side or by your belly button. Make sure that your gestures are in line, are congruent with what you're saying. And the eyes, speak to the people. People will see your eye contact, and they'll see whether you're not looking at them. And they won't trust you as much. You won't have that same level of rapport. Do you know what your body language is saying about you? Do an audit. Get someone to give you feedback on your nonverbal communication. Do a video. The video does not lie. Still on body language, and why I ask people to be aware of their own nonverbal communication, their default mechanisms. Are they passive? Are they aggressive? Are they congruent? Are they contrarian to what you're saying? The reason is because your nonverbal communication is about 50%. Your voice is about a third. And the words are only around 10%. So non-congruent body language, non-purposeful body language can detract from your overall message. So in terms of your preparation for your next presentation, make sure your body language is congruent, is aligned, adds to what you're saying. Step 7, how are you using your voice? It's going back. So this is the 32%. People pick up from your voice. This is the pause, the pace, the pitch. This is your preparation. Where are you going to pause to create suspense? Do you need to lower your voice to bring the audience back? Do you need a microphone? Are people going to hear your voice right at the back? If you do need a microphone, what kind of microphone do you need? Or will there be available? Will it be a lapel microphone or will it be a handheld microphone? Are you using any ums and ahs? Those filler words that will distract from what you're saying. Take care of your voice. I was at a presentation in Singapore last week, and one of the speakers was an opera singer, and she spoke about the level of preparation she does in terms of preparing her voice before going on stage, and she says it's the same thing for speakers. To go on stage without having first warmed up your voice, to go to a training seminar without having first warmed up your voice is really risky and not taking care of this instrument. And make sure you drink lots of fluid before your presentation, but I also like to sip water during my presentation. Is your voice prepared, prepped, practiced, and ready to go? Are you using the platform? Are you going to stand behind a lectern or a training table? Are you going to get out and move in front before the lectern? Speak to the audience. Don't just walk across the stage left and right aimlessly. This is called cat on the hot tin roof, where you just walk across back and forth incessantly. When you're dealing with some tough stuff, are you going to decontaminate? So decontamination, simply put, is like this. This is the front of the stage. This is the most powerful position, second and third. Keep this place nice and clean. And this is your audience here. You've got rows of chairs. When someone asks you a difficult question, move off to the side, take a step back and deal with that difficult question there, keeping this place, the center of the stage, nice and clean. So you move off, disagree with them, put an alternative point of view, have a little bit of an argument, whatever, but don't contaminate that center, strong position of the stage. And move forward. Just take a step forward to make that really strong point, and then step back into your normal position in the stage, moving to left for a while, moving to right. In between's fine. You can anchor. You may have a whiteboard here. You might have a flip chart here, so you can use the platform for purpose. Move forward to just illustrate those really key points, and then take a step back to the center again. Use the platform. Do you know what platform you're going to be walking on? Is the data projector in the roof, or are you going to use a plasma screen? Or is the data projector on a table that's going to cause you to create shadow puppets when you walk in front of it? This is about knowing your platform and how well that you use it. Remember, part of the preparation was arrive early. And one of the things I do when I arrive early and know my venue is I walk on the platform and I visualize some of those things. I visualize using the flip chart, decontaminating, moving forward to illustrating a point. Are your audio visual and your PowerPoint slides engaging the audience? So don't do death by PowerPoint. Don't do one bullet point, second bullet point, third bullet point, fourth bullet point. This is shooting your audience to death one bullet at a time. Eliminate the noise in your PowerPoint slides. So you know those ones where those slides, they go, or you have blinds and they reveal and they fade in. All of that is visual noise. Make your slides nice and clean. Make them show what they're talking about immediately. We call this making your slide pop. Use graphs, photos. Black your slides out in between so people look at you. We black our slides by hitting the B button. Let me show you. I've just hit B. So now if I was in an auditorium, all your eyes would be looking at me. I want the slide back. I just hit B again. Use flip charts and mix your audio visuals. It doesn't just have to be PowerPoint. Have you got handouts? Have you got props? I sometimes use post-it notes, and I use the post-it notes as a prop for people to write something down every time they hear something that's value. Do you have the right audio visuals for your content? So I've got one more to do. No, I must have left number 10 out. So number 10 is feedback. What feedback loop do you have from your presentation, from your workshop, from your seminar? Every time you speak, it's important you get feedback. Feedback is how we grow. Feedback is how we learn. Feedback is how we improve. Several ways to get feedback. Number one, ask a colleague or someone in the room to give you feedback after your presentation. Number two, video record your presentation. Most of us have smartphones. Hand your smartphone over to someone, or you can even set it up on a tripod and with a wireless microphone, and you can record yourself, and that gives you feedback. The other way, you can then send that recording to a coach or to a mentor who will then give you further feedback. If you want to work on your gestures, one way to get feedback is to sit in front of a camera or a mirror and see what your hands are doing. Are they bouncing up and down? Are they just flapping in the wind with no real purpose? Feedback's the food of champions. Feedback is how you learn. So they're the 10 steps that I run through before every presentation. I mentioned that I spoke in Singapore last week. Have I got my nerves under control? Have I done lots of preparation? I arrived at the room the day before. I then arrived the morning. I walked on the platform. I made friends with the audio-visual guy because they were going to look after my PowerPoint slide. I had a really simple structure so that I didn't need the notes. I used stories. I opened strong. My call to action was inclusive, and it was about the audience. I went on there with an absolute attitude of wanting to help these other speakers grow their business. My nonverbal communication. I'll look at the video, but I'm pretty sure it was congruent. I used a lot of pause. People said that I created suspense. I used the platform. I moved out of the way when I showed the video and when I showed my PowerPoint. I had different anchoring, one spot for my father, one spot for me, and one spot for my boss. I used limited PowerPoint slides. It was only a 20-minute presentation, and the feedback I've been getting has been really great, and I've got some tips to change and improve the next presentation. And I'm speaking in Manila in July, so same presentation. So I will be using these tips and this fine-tuning to further enhance that presentation. Upcoming presentation skills and public speaking workshops. We've got Darwin next week, then we've got Perth, we've got Bunbury. So share these with any of your colleagues, friends. Next webinar is at the end of May, how to reduce nerves and speak with increased confidence. So this is more time. I'm going to give you more skills around your own personal level of nerves, fear and anxiety so that you can be more confident, more effective every time you get on the stage. There'll be another webinar that I'll set for early June, and I'll let you know that through newsletter. So remember, the more preparation you do, the more effective, the more confident you will come across. This is probably very detailed, and maybe you only need to choose 5 or 6 of these for your preparation checklist. But one thing I will guarantee you, the more prepared you are, the more confident you will appear, and the more effective you will come across as a speaker, as a trainer, and as a presenter. Thanks for your participation. So go out there and find your voice and change the world one conversation at a time. Thank you.